Okay, let's unpack this. We've all heard it, right? The press release is dead. Gone. It feels like this old thing, like a fax machine, basically. How does it even fit in with, like, Instagram and tweets going viral instantly? Why bother with a formal document?
Well, that's the interesting part. It matters because everything's so chaotic online. Honestly, thinking the press release is obsolete. That's probably the biggest communication mistake you could make today. The form has changed. Yeah, definitely. But its job, creating that official, factual record, that's more critical than ever.
Right. Absolutely. So our mission today for this deep dive is figuring out how this tool hasn't just, vanished, but actually evolved. We're looking at some guides, thinking about strategic business sense, narrative control, drawing on different perspectives. We want to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to seeing the modern press release as a real strategic asset.
Yeah, and the big shift is this. You're not just writing for, say, a print journalist anymore, hoping they'll mention you. Not at all. A modern press release has to do multiple jobs at once. It needs to satisfy a human editor, play well with search engines like Google, get indexed properly in news aggregators, and be super shareable on social media.
Yeah.
It's way more complex. The stakes are just much higher now.
So the game's changed, but what's the core purpose then? Why is this PR function getting, more intense in 2025?
From what I'm gathering from the sources, it really seems to boil down to control.
Control, yeah.
Issuing a solid release means you're shaping your company's story, building authority, and creating the searchable history of what you've achieved.
That control piece is huge. I mean, the basic definition is still there. It's an official written statement about something newsworthy. But its purpose now stretches into, legal and historical documentation, too.
Okay.
It sets up the brand as the reliable source for info on that topic. It's an official record that, paid ads just can't replicate in the same way.
So when do you actually, deploy this thing? Because you can't just send one out for every tiny update, right? That would just dilute its impact. No, exactly. You save it for the big stuff. Moments that genuinely affect the market or your stakeholders. We're talking major product launches that could shift things, big hires at the executive level, mergers, acquisitions, funding rounds,
Right.
winning significant awards, and maybe most crucially, when you need to respond officially to a crisis, it has to be genuinely newsworthy, not just, oh, we tweaked a button color.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think one of the really key insights from the sources is getting inside the journalist's head. It's not like they're doing you a favor reading these. It's about their own efficiency.
Oh, totally. They get hundreds of these things every single day. So why do they still look at them? Because a good press release, one that's professional and well-written, is basically a prepackaged starting point. It's already fact-checked, has context, quotes ready to go.
You're doing half their job for them, essentially.
Pretty much. You're handing them maybe 80% of what they need. If it's structured right, you save them a ton of research time. So the choice for them is often, do I use this reliable package or spend an hour digging up the info myself?
Which brings us neatly to structure, because if you waste their time...
Game over. They stop reading. Instantly. In a newsroom, time isn't just money. It's like the currency that decides if a story even happens.
And nothing wastes time like a giant wall of text. The sources seem super strict about this. Optimal length, 300 to 500 words. Is that right?
Yep.
Only 500 words?
Yep. 300 to 500.
But wait, if you've got a huge merger or a massive funding round, how do you fit all the important context in without crucial details getting chopped?
It forces you to be ruthless. Every single word counts. The data shows engagement just plummets after 500 words, especially if someone's reading on their phone.
Right, mobile reading.
Exactly. Look, if you need 1,000 words to explain your news, maybe the news itself is too complex for a release, or maybe it isn't focused enough. The release needs to be tight. You can always link out to more detailed info, but the release itself, concise.
Okay, concise. And that starts right at the top with the headline. This seems like a huge deal in the digital age. It has to grab attention immediately, deliver the core news in 6 to 10 words?
That's the target, 6 to 10 words. And that limit means you have to ditch the clever puns or wordplay, focus entirely on clarity.
So active verbs, specifics.
Active verbs, specific numbers like the dollar amount of funding, and put the absolute most important piece of info right at the beginning. Think about the difference between company announces exciting new funding round versus something like tech startup raises $50 to revolutionize remote healthcare.
Okay, the second one tells you everything instantly. And once that headline hooks them, the lead paragraph needs to keep that momentum going, which is why that classic 5W1H formula is still king.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Every single one needs an answer in those first 2 or 3 sentences.
No suspense.
Zero suspense. This isn't the novel.
Yeah.
If the journalist can't grab those first few sentences and basically have the core story right there, you've kind of failed.
Which leads right into the overall structure, that inverted pyramid thing.
Yeah, the inverted pyramid. It's fundamental. Most critical info, that 5W1H lead, goes right at the top. Then you follow up with supporting details, maybe some quotes, and then background info comes last.
And the logic is purely practical.
Right, purely practical. When editors need to cut for space, and they often do, they cut from the bottom up. Always. So your main message, the really crucial stuff, has to survive, even if those last few paragraphs get lopped off.
Okay, let's talk style then. Because if you want the media to take you seriously, it can't sound like an ad. It needs to feel like news. Neutrality is key. You absolutely have to avoid hype words like revolutionary or game-changing.
Right. Let the facts do the talking. If your product really is revolutionary, show it with data. You know, our new process cuts energy use by 45% is way, way more powerful than just calling it game-changing.
And simplifying the language, too. The sources really hammer this point about avoiding jargon. No more synergistic solutions or paradigm shifts, please.
Ugh, yeah. If you have a technical feature, explain what it does for the user. Don't just use the internal engineering term. Make it accessible, which ties into that mobile reading point again.
Ah, right. Because people scan on phones.
Totally. So short paragraphs are a must in 2025, like 2 to 4 sentences max per paragraph. That white space isn't just visual relief. It makes the whole thing less intimidating and easier to scan quickly on a small screen.
What about quotes? We've all seen those awful boilerplate ones that just repeat information from the paragraph above. The sources say quotes need to add something real.
They absolutely have to. Insight, perspective, maybe some human emotion. The quote should explain the why behind the news or the impact it'll have. Don't just use a quote to say, yes, we raised the money.
Okay.
Use it to show the passion or that problem you're solving. Something like, you know, our team worked on this for 2 years because we saw small businesses really struggling with X. The solution cuts their processing time by 60%. That connects the what to the why.
That makes a lot more sense. And lastly, for this section, multimedia. It seems like this isn't optional anymore. It turns a boring announcement into an actual story. What kind of elements are basically required now?
High-res images are the absolute minimum baseline.
Right.
But yeah, you really need more. Think infographics for data, short video clips, like really short, maybe even audio snippets.
And this isn't just for show, right?
Not at all. It boosts engagement, sure. But critically, it gives journalists ready-to-use assets. Stuff they can just drop into their article or post without needing extra approval or design work. Makes their life easier.
Okay, so let's shift to getting it out there. Distribution, SEO. This idea that the release has to work double duty now. It needs to grab the journalist, yes, but also function as this permanent, searchable thing for your brand online. SEO is crucial.
Yeah, non-negotiable. And it's not just about standard website SEO. You need to format it. So news aggregators think Google News, Apple News can easily pick it up, index it, and display it properly. This is how you create that searchable archive that keeps bringing in traffic and awareness long after the initial announcement.
So where do those keywords go? The sources mentioned 5 key spots.
That's right. 5 strategic places for your primary keyword. Number 1, the headline, as near the beginning as you can get it.
Okay.
2, the first paragraph. 3, in at least one subheading. 4, crucially, in the image alt text, don't forget that. And 5, in the boilerplate section at the end.
Let's quickly clarify the boilerplate for anyone listening.
Good point. The boilerplate is that standard paragraph right at the very end of the press release. It doesn't change much. It just says who your company is, what you do, maybe your mission. It's like your company's mini bio. And it's a prime spot for keyword reinforcement.
Got it. And formatting seems to play a big role in both how people read it and how those aggregators see it. What are the best practices?
Consistency is really the main thing. Stick to simple, readable fonts like Times New Roman or Arial, usually 12-point size. That ensures it looks okay everywhere. Use that white space effectively, break things up with subheadings every, say, 100 to 150 words. Use bullet points for lists.
Makes it scannable.
Exactly. And use bold text strategically. Don't overdo it, but use it to highlight really critical bits of info company names, key stats, important dates.
Timing also feels critical. You could do everything else right, but if you send it at the wrong time, it just gets lost in the noise. What's the sweet spot?
The data consistently points to Monday mornings between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. in the recipient's time zone.
Why then, specifically?
Well, journalists are typically back at their desks planning out their week's coverage. Their inboxes are relatively clear, or at least they're actively processing them. Avoid Fridays completely. Definitely avoid major holidays. And absolutely don't send anything out if there's massive breaking news happening globally. Your news will just get buried.
Right. And finally, the pitch itself. Sending it out broadly seems like a waste of time compared to targeted outreach.
Or absolutely. Mass blasting is dead. You need to personalize your pitch. Do your homework, research the reporter, see what they cover, follow their work, then explain why your story is a good fit for their specific audience, not just why it's generally interesting.
Build that relationship.
Exactly. And one small thing people often forget, the notes to the editor. This isn't part of the main release text, it's separate. It's where you can add extra context, maybe embargo details, specific contact info for interviews, stuff that doesn't belong in the formal release, but is super helpful for the journalist.
Okay, so if you manage to do all of this right, the structure, the style, the SEO, the timing, the pitch, the benefit goes way beyond just getting one article published, right? It's about building authority.
Precisely. It's about long-term brand authority. When you consistently put out high-quality, factual announcements about innovations, partnerships, milestones, you position your organization as a thought leader, as a credible source that customers, partners, and journalists learn to trust.
And that trust becomes invaluable, especially when things go wrong. Crisis management.
That's where that foundation of trust really pays off. When a crisis hits, and eventually you need to respond fast. We're talking hours, not days.
To control the narrative.
To control the narrative before rumors and misinformation take over. But the effectiveness of that crisis release depends heavily on the content and tone.
What makes it work?
It has to be transparent and factual above all else. Acknowledge the situation directly. Don't try to spin it too much. Clearly explain what you're doing about it. And crucially, show accountability.
And the tone.
The tone is everything in a crisis. This is probably the only time a press release should sound genuinely human, maybe even apologetic depending on the situation. If it reads like it was written entirely by lawyers or the insurance department.
Yeah, people see right through that.
Completely. You lose all credibility instantly. The goal is to show you're a reliable, responsible communicator, even under pressure. And if you've been regularly issuing positive, credible releases before the crisis, people are much more likely to believe your side of the story when things go bad.
That makes total sense. So connecting it all back, these official, well-crafted announcements aren't just about news. They establish your version of events as the official record. And often that's way cheaper and, frankly, more authentic than just running a bunch of paid ads.
That far more authentic.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for someone trying to get noticed in 2025? The press releases, well, it's complicated now. It's this blend, right? Quality content, that strict 300, 500 word count, SEO baked in, multimedia, and hitting that strategic Monday morning window.
Yeah, it hasn't died at all. It's just transformed. It's become this finely tuned instrument. You absolutely have to respect the old school journalism values, clarity, facts, the inverted pyramid. But you also have to master the modern digital demands, like SEO, mobile-friendly formatting, and using multimedia to make it stick. It's about long-term visibility now, not just a one-day hit.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Building directly from what we've discussed, we talked about needing that primary keyword in the headline, the first paragraph, a subheading, the alt text. So consider this challenge. If your news isn't actually strong or clear enough that you can easily define one single high-value keyword for it, well, is it really newsworthy enough for a press release in the first place?
That's a really good question to ask yourself before you even start writing.